Your goals are not confused. Your dreams have not lost your address. The universe has not misplaced your order, overlooked your vision board, or become intimidated by your potential. Your habits are simply funding an entirely different life than the one that your mouth keeps ordering. You say you want success, but you finance distraction. You say you want peace, but you continue to renew relationships that are built upon chaos and disrespect. You say you want financial stability, but your spending habits are auditioning for a reality television program called Bankruptcy with benefits. You say you want respect, and yet you repeatedly tolerate disrespect because enforcing a boundary might make someone else uncomfortable. You say you want transformation, but then you defend every habit that has created the version of your life you claim to despise, the one that you complain about day after day after day. My darlings, the problem is not that you lack desire. The problem is that your mouth keeps writing a check that your habits cannot and do not fund. The bank has returned this check, and it's marked insufficient funds. Good morning, my salty darlings, and welcome back to my corner of the multiverse for your hump day guilty pleasure. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Ann Margaret, your resident purveyor of uncomfortable truths, audacious ambition, elevated standards, and the occasional verbal slap delivered with excellent diction. Before we begin, please follow, subscribe, download, share, review, comment, send smoke signals, alert the village elders, and tell your friends about the salty little podcast you found lurking in the more sophisticated corner of the multiverse. Last week, we talked about the taxes of life. We discussed the price attached to ambition and learning, wisdom, mastery, meaning, resilience, success, and transformation. Let me refresh your memory. And for those of you who are new this week, just brush it up a little bit before you go back and listen to the last 70 episodes. Stress. That's the tax you pay for ambition. Failure is the tax you pay for learning, because the best learning takes place after a failure. Boredom is the tax you pay for mastery. Persistence is the tax you pay for success. And discomfort is a tax that you pay for transformation. Every meaningful thing in life has a price, and you cannot continuously dispute the charge while demanding delivery of the reward. So in other words, you can't not suffer discomfort. You must suffer discomfort during transformation. You can't dispute that. And you will not get the reward of transformation if you don't step outside of your comfort zone and suffer some level of discomfort. But today, we're going to discuss what happens when you claim that you're willing to pay the tax, and yet your daily behavior never deposits enough currency into the account to cover the check. Because this is where most people live. They are literally writing checks against a future that they have not funded. They make enormous declarations. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to repair my shitty marriage. I'm going to become financially independent. I'm going back to school. I'm going to stop allowing people to treat me like shit. Magnificent. Your declaration is beautiful. The intentions are noble. The caption is so inspiring. But then we look at the account. No deposits, no consistent effort, no protected time, no alterations in behavior patterns, no boundaries, zero evidence. Just a large decorative check signed with a flourish, if you can even sign in cursive like I do, backed by 3 motivational videos, a new notebook, and the vague belief that Monday possesses some type of supernatural powers. Darling, friends, Monday is not a financial institution. It does not fund your goals. One of the most offensive truths in personal development is the fact that people believe that wanting something means that you're working toward it. I promise you, just wanting something does not mean you're working toward it. You can want something desperately, and still behave in ways that make achieving it nearly impossible. Wanting is emotional, but funding is behavioral. You may want to become healthier, but wanting health while repeatedly choosing fucked up habits like eating pie for breakfast and donuts for lunch, you repeatedly choose habits that damage those goals. And that's not a plan. You may want to build a business, but thinking about the business, naming the business, designing 17 logos for the business, and telling everybody about the business is not the same as operating a business. At some point, someone has to sell something. Someone has to answer an email, issue an invoice, follow up with a client. Somebody has to reconcile the bank accounts. Somebody has to do the less glamorous work that doesn't look like it's thrilling and exciting in a photograph. And if it's your business, that someone is you. Anybody that knows me knows that I adore ideas. I have enough ideas before y'all sit down to breakfast every morning to keep an entire consulting firm busy until the second coming of Odin. Okay? Ideas are exciting. The possibilities of what that can be, that's straight up intoxicating. The beginning of projects, of any project, of a project, it's delicious because it's still perfect. Nothing has failed yet. No one has criticized it. Your spreadsheets are still immaculate. And of course, the logo I designed was magnificent, of course. The name is clever. The potential is limitless. That's all wonderful. And then execution arrives carrying a clipboard and asks some very, very rude questions. What did you complete today? How many calls did you make? How many pages did you write? How much money did you save? What did you practice? What measurable evidence exists that this goal you've set is receiving your time, your attention, your energy, or your money? And suddenly, you're deeply offended because intention wants credit for a payment it never made. You do not receive a receipt for thinking about doing the work. Potential does not count as legal tender. And enthusiasm, while delightful, enthusiasm, like imperial credits, are not accepted everywhere. Okay? Your habits are your actual budget. You can tell me what matters to you. Your habits, however, will tell me whether what you've just said is the truth. Your calendar is a financial statement. Your bank account is a financial statement. Your screen time report is a financial statement. Your recurring conversations are a financial statement. And the people who receive your best energy are also a financial statement. Where you place your time, attention, money, effort, and emotional bandwidth reveals what you're actually funding. Not what you say you value, not what you intend to value, not what you would value if circumstances were more convenient, but what you are actually funding now. All right? So let's say that you claim that writing a book is your highest priority. Marvelous. How many hours did you write this week? Not think about writing, not researching fonts, not watching videos about how successful authors organize their desks. How many words did you write? And if the answer is 0, sweetheart, my little darlings, that book is not your current priority. It's most likely another one of your fantasies. It may be your aspiration. It may be important to you emotionally, but it's not being funded behaviorally. And this is not judgment. I'm not judging you. You do you, boo. But don't give me a bunch of lip service. I want to see the behaviors. This is not judgment. This is accounting. You cannot improve the account until you stop falsifying the records. And friends, people falsify their personal records constantly. They say, I don't have time. I say, I don't have time all the time when my physicians ask me if I exercise. No, in fact, I don't. Why don't you? They ask. I don't have any time. Oh, that's bullshit. We all know it. I could make time if it was a priority to me. It's not a priority to me. I'd rather be making money. So yeah, understand that the excuse, I do not have time, for something you have said you want to do. Bullshit. I do not assign this goal a protected portion of my time, is what you're really saying. And they are two different statements. They are legitimate seasons when time is brutally limited. Okay? A newborn baby does not care about your productivity strategy. Illness does not consult your calendar. Caregiving for others can consume the entire account. Emergencies are real. Poverty is real. Exhaustion is real. Limited resources are real. But even within those realities, honesty matters. I am unable to prioritize this right now is honest. I am choosing something else right now, also very honest. This season does not allow me to fund that goal properly, is honest. But I have no time while averaging 4 hours a day on social media. That's not a scheduling problem. That's not a time problem. That's an audit finding. Your mouth cannot declare one priority while your habits quietly embezzle all of the resources. Okay? So while everybody tends to think that money is the only currency, it's not. And I know that if you've been listening to this podcast, you know money is not your only currency. Your life operates on 5 primary currencies. Time is number 1. Time is the most brutally honest currency because it is finite. You will not earn more time. You will not recover lost time. You won't recover yesterday. All right. And every yes that you give spends time. Every no that you issue protects your time. All right. You might earn more money. You can recover some lost energy. You can restore damaged relationships, but you will not recover spent time. Every hour invested in one thing is an hour you cannot invest in something else. That is why priorities are not merely lists. Priorities are exclusions. You cannot call 12 different things your number one priorities. That is not prioritization. Okay? It's just not. So time is one currency. Attention. And honestly, attention may be more valuable than time because you can technically spend time somewhere while your mind is completely absent or elsewhere. You can sit beside your spouse, your parent, your child while scrolling through your phone. You can attend a meeting while mentally redesigning your kitchen. You can read the same paragraph 6 times because your brain has opened 14 unrelated tabs. Attention is focused presence. And modern life has built $1 trillion economy around stealing it from you. Every notification you receive is a tiny little pickpocket. Every outrage cycle is a casino designed to keep you pulling the emotional lever. Every meaningless argument online, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, you name it. All of those meaningless arguments, because you and I both know we're not changing anybody's mind online, all right, withdraws attention from something you claim is important to you. You are not obligated to attend every argument to which the internet invites you or everyone that you happen to scroll on by, okay? Some opinions don't deserve your rebuttal because, frankly, your rebuttal isn't even going to probably make any type of an impact on their state of mind or their opinion. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you because comprehension would require them to revise their story, their preferred story. Let them be wrong. Protect your currency. So, time, attention. The third one is energy. You can possess available time, but still lack usable energy. Energy management matters. Not every single hour of your day is equal. Your most cognitively demanding work should not receive the ragged scraps of whatever remains of your energy after everyone else is eaten at the buffet. And yet, many people give their employers, clients, relatives, their notifications and acquaintances the finest portions of their energy. And then they hand their dreams to a wilted piece of, parasite lettuce at 22:45 in the evening and wonder why nothing grows. Your goal cannot survive indefinitely on shitty leftovers and parasite-infected lettuce from taco smell. Okay? Your fourth currency is money, and some goals do require financial investment. Education costs money. Businesses cost money to set them up, get them going. Health also can cost money. Professional assistance costs money. Tools, software, equipment, childcare, transportation, and opportunities may cost money. But spending money is not automatically progress. You can purchase every course in existence and then complete none of them. You can own an entire library of books and still avoid sending one sales email that's in one of those business books. You can buy expensive workout equipment and use it exclusively as a decorative laundry rack. purchasing resources can support action, but it cannot replace action. Some people are not investing. They're shopping for the sensation, the feeling of progress. The dopamine arrives when the package does. However, the transformation does not arrive. Standards are currency because every tolerated behavior funds its continuation. What you permit receives a subsidy. So when you tolerate chronic tardiness, broken promises, disrespect, missed deadlines, incompetence, dishonesty, manipulation, you fund the environment you later complain about. Standards determine what receives access to your life, and access is expensive. I'm expensive. I went to the physician last week, waited in the waiting room for more than 65 minutes. When I was finally seen, I let him know, you'll be receiving an invoice. I will be billing you $675 an hour for my time in the waiting room. I arrived here more than 15 minutes prior to the start of my appointment, and then I waited. My time is just as valuable as yours, and I bill at $675 an hour. And he looked a little bit surprised. I said, at the very least, someone from the front desk could have told me how far behind you were and given me the opportunity to maybe reschedule, see your nurse practitioner, or anything else. Or just have my blood drawn and then we catch up via email later. Right? Access is expensive. Not everyone deserves executive level clearance simply because they have known you for a long time. Tenure does not equal entitlement. Some people have had access for years and have done nothing but repeatedly contaminate the waters. So close the account. But those are your currencies. Okay? Let's examine the checks that people write without sufficient funding. The success check. I want to be successful. Splendid. Successful at what? And by whose definition? And what are you doing consistently to support that success and reaching that goal? Success is often treated like a foggy destination somewhere beyond the horizon. People say they want success, but they've never defined it. Is it more income, more influence, more autonomy, more time? A leadership role? A profitable business, a published book? Clinical mastery? A peaceful home? A flexible schedule? You cannot fund a vague account. Define the purchase, determine the deposits that are required, because you may discover that the habits necessary for someone else's definition of success would create a life you don't even want. There is no virtue in climbing a ladder only to discover it's leaning against a building whose facade you despise. But once you define your success, your habits must support it. If success requires consistent visibility and you refuse to publish because someone might criticize you, well, you haven't funded the account. If success requires sales and you refuse to ask anyone to buy, well, you haven't funded the account. When success requires expertise and you refuse to practice once the novelty fades, your account isn't funded. Your confidence may be writing checks that your competence has yet to fund. And that doesn't mean stop. It means deposit more. Okay? So that's the success check. The health check that people write. They'll say, my health is my priority. but they repeatedly schedule everything ahead of their health. They skip medical appointments. They ignore symptoms. They abandon medication. They sleep 4 hours. I can't speak to that. I do sleep between 3 and 5 hours a day. I can't help it. I just wake up. All right. And these individuals also consume chaos as though it contains essential nutrients. And then they speak of health as though it were something being done to them rather than something affected by their own daily choices. So let me be clear. While health is not entirely within your own personal control because genetics exist, disease exists, trauma and disability exist, access barriers exist, social determinants of health exist. Anyone claiming every illness can be cured by discipline and organic kale needs to sit down, shut the fuck up, stop dispensing nonsense, open their eyes to the parasite lettuce. Okay? But within what we can control, behavior still matters. You cannot claim health is your priority while consistently refusing every behavior available to protect it. All right? And the point is not perfection. Perfection is usually procrastination wearing expensive perfume. The point is funding. A walk is a deposit. Adequate protein, sleep, keeping an appointment, taking your medication appropriately, setting boundaries that reduce chronic stress. Those are all deposits into that account to fund your goal. Deposits don't need to be dramatic, but they do need to occur. They do need to happen if you're going to fund the account. All right. Another check, the peace check. I just want peace. Do you? Do you want peace? Because you keep answering the phone when chaos calls. You keep reopening doors that you locked for excellent reasons. Why do you keep letting those people in? Stop it. You keep participating in arguments that have no solution because one of the participants is seeking control, not understanding they're a narcissistic, manipulative bitch. Okay? Lock that door. Throw away the key. All right. You keep volunteering to manage grown adults who have developed a suspicious allergy to accountability. Why do you hang with people like that won't take accountability for their own situations and their own actions? Peace is not merely the absence of noise. Peace is the presence of boundaries. Peace requires disappointing people who expected lifelong access to your nervous system. Okay. Peace is going to require allowing someone to experience the consequences you've repeatedly prevented. The moment you say to someone, I'm done, you don't have to send a paragraph. I'm done. Don't contact me further. Period. That is a complete ending. You don't need explanations. You don't need to listen to anybody's bullshit. You're done. Walk away. And do not go back. Okay, the 17-page emotionally footnoted legal brief explaining why their behavior hurt you, why you deserve better, and why they should finally understand. Trust me, those bitches understood. They preferred the arrangement of manipulating you. So stop submitting additional evidence to a court that has already ruled against your dignity. Because that's who they are. And it doesn't matter what you say to them, it's never going to change. They don't want to do the right thing. All right, the respect check. I want people to respect me. And if you do, stop negotiating against yourself. Respect does not grow where your standards are repeatedly stomped on. You can't force another person to respect you. But you can absolutely control what access those disrespectful sons of bitches get. So when someone repeatedly violates those same boundaries and nothing changes, that's not really a boundary then. You made a suggestion. A boundary without consequence is merely customer feedback. You say, don't speak to me that way. They do it again. You continue the conversation. What? No. You know what? No. No is a complete fucking sentence in 2026. So hear it. And don't forget the period. Your account has recorded that the stated standard was not backed up by behavioral funds. All right? If you're going to write the check, your actions should not decline the payment. Respect begins with making your own word credible. When you say something matters, behave as if it does matter. When you say there will be a consequence, there needs to be a consequence. Otherwise, you're literally just issuing, press releases. All right. And then the transformation check. I'm ready to change. Are you ready to become uncomfortable? Because transformation is not simply adding new habits. It often requires removing old habits, identities, relationships, and stories that keep the present existing structure intact. You cannot become organized while preserving every source of disorder. You cannot become financially stable while treating every emotion with retail therapy. Okay? You cannot become peaceful while maintaining open door access for every disruptive fuckstick you've ever met. You cannot become confident while outsourcing every decision to the opinions of strangers. You cannot become a different person while remaining completely loyal to the routines of the old one. Transformation is structural. It is not cosmetic. It is the 2x4s and the 6x10s that build you. It is not the facade that is outward facing and gets a new coat of paint or maybe some really nice cedar looking siding. Okay. Structural renovation creates dust. People will become uncomfortable. Relationships will shift. People will accuse you of changing. Yeah, that was on the fucking building permit. Did you not read it? Okay. So let's make sure we're not doing performative progress. I love that word. Performative progress looks like work, feels like work, can even be exhausting, but it does not materially move the goal forward. Examples include, yep, I want to make a plan, but you spend 6 months researching without making a decision. Okay. Organizing all of your thoughts instead of doing the difficult task, waiting for your decision. Discussing the goal repeatedly because talking about it provides a tiny emotional reward. Or by creating elaborate systems so complex that maintaining the system becomes the new full-time job. Being stuck in planning mode and never making a decision can become a socially acceptable form of avoidance. Avoidance. Are you seeing how this all works together? Avoidant behavior. Being in preparatory stages can become a hiding place. All right. This is the point where more information does not reduce risk. It just postpones exposure. Eventually, you must publish, launch, apply, ask, submit, perform, sell, leave, begin, and you may even fail. Oh no. Welcome to having a pulse and living a life. Failure is not proof that you never should have acted. It's information. But performative progress protects your ego from receiving information. And as long as the project remains unfinished, it remains potentially brilliant. And if the business never launches, it cannot fail. And if the manuscript remains within your head, no one can ever criticize it. And as long as you never enforce a boundary, you never have to discover who only loved you when you were compliant. Avoidance, my friends, preserves fantasy. Action produces truth. And the truth, while occasionally rude, is extremely useful. Okay? Just know that. Motivation is great, but I have a newsflash for you. That's not a deposit because you're doing nothing. It's just motivation. Okay? Don't panic. Choose a goal you've repeatedly said is important. This is your action this week. Not 12 goals, 1. Write it down. And then answer these questions honestly. What does this goal actually require? Not theoretically, not ideally. What actions does it require? If you want to build a business, it requires an offer, customers, delivery, accounting, and follow-up. You want to write a book? It requires words written, editing completed, and a publishing process. You want better health? It may require appointments, treatment adherence, nutrition, movement, sleep, or stress reduction. You want a stronger relationship? It requires honest communication and honesty, presence, repair, and even sometimes, I dare say, professional assistance. Then you've got to figure out what you're depositing. How much time did I give that goal? How much focused attention? How much money, if money is required? How much energy? What of my habits directly supported it? All right. And then you have to determine what's draining the account. Where are the leaks? Is it distraction, disorganization, fear, people-pleasing, perfectionism, a chaotic relationship, poor systems, or too many simultaneous commitments? Is it a refusal to delegate? A pattern of beginning new things before finishing old ones? You cannot fund every ambition at full capacity simultaneously. I promise you can't. Sometimes the goal is underfunded because you've opened 43 competing accounts and deposited 97 cents into each one of them. Concentration and attention and focus are financial strategies when funding the accounts that are going to move you towards your goal. All right. So you have to sundown behaviors that aren't funding the account to reach your goal. And you have to start funding the accounts that help you to reach those goals. So what habits will fund that? Stay away from the habits that fund chaos. Okay? What habit grants you deposits that reach your goal? Okay, so choose a deposit that you can repeat. 500 words a week on your manuscript for your book. 1 walk, 1 application, 1 sales call, 1 boundary, 1 hour without your phone, 1 honest conversation. Small deposits matter because consistency compounds. A dramatic gesture can create a story, but a repeatable habit creates results. And that's what I want to start to see you do. Starting this week. So that is your call to action this week. Get your asses out to Amazon, pick up the Fix Your Shit Guide and Planner from the Salty Goddess, and start taking control. There are people who spend decades writing checks against a life that they will never fund. They'll speak about what they will do, what they could do, what they would do if circumstances were different, what they were going to do before someone disappointed them, what they might do once they feel ready, and eventually possibility expires into regret. Not because they lacked talent or intelligence, and not because the goal was impossible, but because their habits made it impossible to fund the goal. Your mouth announces the dream. Your habit determines whether the payment clears the bank. So stop telling yourself something is a priority when it receives none of your resources. It's not a goal if you're not willing to alter any behavior in pursuit of it. So fund the life you say you want, deposit the time, protect the attention, manage the energy, invest the money wisely, and force the standards, defund the distractions, and cancel the chaos. Make your word credible to yourself. This week, choose one check that you have repeatedly written, and then ask yourself what deposit will make this payment clear. And then I want you to tell me all about it. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you this week. We'll see you next week. This has been the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Ann Margaret, reminding you that your goals are not ignoring you. Your habits may simply be funding their competition. Until next time, stay audaciously authentic, keep your standards savage, and remember, your calendar is the receipt, your behavior is the bank account. It's a bank statement. And darlings, that ledger doesn't lie. Follow, subscribe, download, review, and share this episode with someone whose ambition has been writing checks that their habits have yet to fund. I'll see you next week, right here in my corner of the multiverse for your hump day. Guilty pleasure. Now get out there and make the damn deposit. See you next week.